This is a follow-up to a video I posted recently in which I showed this mystery object. Thanks to a few commenters and some searching through some vintage electronic magazines, I think I've identified what this may be. And I think it's a game of NIM. And I'm pretty sure it was built from plans shown in this magazine. It is Popular Electronics, and this edition was published in January 1958. Shows the game on the front cover. I think this guy's built the game. He's playing his girlfriend. I'm not quite sure what he gets if he wins, but he's built this to cheat. So looking inside, I'll come back to that in a minute, but looking inside, it goes through the plans and the wiring, shows how this thing is wired up, and I've checked, and this is how at least the bottom part, the bottom switches are wired. And it's quite an interesting project, and more importantly it goes through the logic behind what I mean when I say this game allows you to cheat. So this is how the banks of switches are wired up, and there's 4 banks like this, and it simply gives you 4-bit binary counters. You might be wondering how that allows you to cheat. So I thought I'd just quickly go over that. But looking at this, it looks almost certain that this is in fact a version of this built into a wooden box, which was very common at the time. I used to use wooden boxes all the time. It is much more difficult back then getting hold of cost-effective cases made of plastic or metal. And so looking at how you can cheat by having something like this. So if you're not familiar, NIM is normally played with markers of some sort, pebbles, matches, marbles, that sort of thing. And you start off with a number of piles of markers, and it can have any number of markers in each pile, usually limited to 10. And what the two-player game, and what the players do is they take turns moving one or more marker from one of the piles, and they can remove any number as long as it's at least 1. And the loser of the game is the one that's left with the final marker. So it sounds simple, but it's quite a complex game to play if you're playing somebody that's quite good at it. But this contraption allows you to cheat at the game, hence my comment about maybe the guy that was in the magazine article was trying to fool his girlfriend into a game of NIM. So I'll just go through how this helps you cheat at the game of NIM, and hopefully it will make a lot more sense. So you might be wondering how this game allows the player to cheat, and I'll just explain that briefly here. We'll play a game first, just to go through how you could use this to play the game. And really you could play this without the lights at all. The lights are just here as the kind of cheating mechanism. But what you do is you set the starting number in each pile in your game using the switches at the top. The switches just set the binary count on each row of lights. That represents the number that you've set the switch to. And there's this is for the bottom row, second row up, third row up, and the top row. So we'll start by setting an arbitrary value. So the one player starts by setting a value on the 4 switches, and they can set whatever value they want. It really doesn't matter, so I'll just set a random value here, and we've now got 9878, so it could be anything, doesn't really matter. But we now have the binary representation of that count on the 4 rows of lights. So I'm going to start by making my first move, and I want my first move to turn this light off, this one on, and this one on. I'll come back to why that's the case in a few minutes. So I just need to adjust the value in the top row, and all I have to do is keep turning the switch until I get the value I want that gives me the pattern I'm looking for. I'm not really interested in the number, I'm just looking for a pattern, and that's how I'm cheating, but I'll come back to how that is in a few minutes. So we've now got a value of 7878. It's now my opponent's turn, so he will make a carefully thought out move. It's now my turn again, and from this point on my opponent cannot win. So what I want to do now, bear in mind I can't turn lights on, at least I can't increase the number. All I can do is turn the switches down, I can't turn them up. So in this case what I need to do is turn this light off and this light on. So I'll come back to why this is later. So that's what I want to end up with, and it's now my opponent's turn. So he's going to, for example, turn all the lights on the bottom row off. It's now my turn again, and all I need to do here is turn this light off. Okay, so now it's my opponent's turn, and again he's going to do this, and all I need to do here is turn, if I come to this row, I need to turn this light off and this light off. So that's the second row up. So that's my move, and my opponent is now going to turn off all the lights on that row. So it's now my turn, and as you can see, I've now effectively won the game. There's 1 in this row, so all I need to do now is 0 this one, and my opponent is left with the 1. And you can win every single time using this box when you're playing your opponent, as long as you understand how to make use of it. And the way this works is very simple, because the game of Nim is really a kind of binary sequence game. Then all you need to do is, whatever the starting point is for the game, just again make a random selection of lights. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is, but your first move, and what you have to do is make sure that you always end up with an even number of lights on in each column. So not the row, but the column. So in this case, you can see that there's a one light in this column, that's odd. 3 lights in this column, that's odd. 3 in this column, that's odd. And 2 in this column. So you need to make, and you can only change 1 switch per move, and you need to pick which switch you're going to turn to end up with an even number in each column. And once you've done that the first time, as long as you keep doing that in each move, you can't lose. Now you can't add, so you can't increase the count, which means you have to use this row because it's got the highest count, and the only way you can manipulate this to get an even number is to turn this light off. 0 is deemed to be an even number. So we need to adjust this one, in which case we need to turn this one on to give us 4 lights in this column. We need to do the same here, turn this one on to give us 4 lights and leave this one on. So we need to adjust this switch to turn this off, this on, and leave that one how it is. So if we just start turning it down, too far there, we've now got the pattern that we want. So the even number in each column, and now we can't lose. Whatever our opponent does, all we do is we return the game to a state where it's got an even number in each column. So in this case, again, we need to adjust whichever light is going to give us the correct value and give us an even count. So in this case, what we'll need to do is adjust it so that we have this light on, this light off, and this one's still on. So we'll do that, it's the bottom switch. So simple as that. We've now got 4 in this column, 2 in here, 2 here. So it's back to our safe position, if you like. And all you do is you just keep repeating that. Each time your opponent makes a move, you just make sure that you adjust the switch. It gives you a resultant even number in each column. So again, in this case, all we have to do is turn these 2 off. And again, we've now got 2, 2, and 2. And ultimately, if you keep going through the game, you'll end up and you'll win every time. So it looks like it's a game of Nim. It looks like it was built as part of the article shown in this magazine. And as long as you understand the rules, it allows you to win every time. Not quite sure what happens when both players know the rules. I'm assuming that the guy that moves first is going to win, so there'll be a fight over who gets to move first. But if you're playing your unsuspecting girlfriend, then obviously you're going to win each time.